All right, let's do our best to talk about it. Georgia and Ole Miss, this time the Dogs with a 43-35 win. Listen, man, when you're on the field and you're watching these games, all I could think of was I'm not quite sure how they're going to win. Well, I didn't think they were going to win the game. I don't know how they won it. This is the first time I've seen the statistics, and I do see now why they won it. Ole Miss, when they really needed to do it, couldn't, and that was the problem. Georgia with 221 yards rushing, 289 yards passing. That's pretty significant. No turnovers. Both teams fumbled once and didn't turn it over. Nate Frazier, 2 hands on the ball a lot. He went for 72 tonight, no lost yards. Chauncey Bowen's completely unleashed. He went for 61. Gunner went for 59. Kirby was talking about how Gunner was saying that the team needed to see him run. Kirby was saying that he did not practice on Monday and I believe Tuesday. Georgia's got to get better at tackling. One thing that happened this week was, Ole Miss did a great job of shaking loose from some tackles. Georgia State may play like this. That's very possible. But look, y'all, this was a really important moment in the season, okay? And I picked Georgia to win the game. I picked them to cover. They did both. I'm going to get some water. I hope not. Yes, just a little bit. So I'm probably going to wrap this up at home. But I did want to just talk about how this was a pretty big win for the season, for what's left of this season, because you've got Jacksonville coming up, a Florida team that survived Mississippi State. I don't think there will be a move there, but there would have been had there been a loss. So that was narrow by the Gators there. But on the field, it felt like Mississippi was the way better team for 3/4 of the game. And I don't have it by, I'm just going to hang out. Is this wet too? Gosh. This is the sideline I do not come on, by the way. I stay away from this sideline. There's a lot of reasons why I shoot the way I do. Jason Getz and I, particularly the way that we shoot, and I think it pays off. But I thought Mississippi was the better team for a lot of this game. Now, they weren't the whole time. Hey, listen, make sure you're taking advantage of what So Poly Outdoor Furniture's got to offer. You're getting 10% off. You're getting free delivery, which is probably pretty significant. And using the code DEAN, DEAN 10, DEAN 10, you get the code, you get 10% off. But I think, again, the shipping is where you're going to really save money. You can customize your outdoor furniture for your outdoor kitchen, for your beachfront property, for your lake property, for your backyard, for whatever. I mean, I cook a lot, so I don't cook a lot outside all the time, but I've had So Poly furniture now for 3 years. It has not faded, nothing. It's outstanding quality. And we're here on the field in Sanford, and I thought Chambliss played better than he did, but boy, he went really south for them quick. They couldn't run. That's a problem. 88 yards. That's just, oh man, I don't want to get hit by the rain. 88, you gotta be, hey, these silver slippers, you gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. I've never seen that before. I've been here for a while. I've never seen that before. The mist up in the air. I was talking to somebody who was at the game. He really felt like it was a big night. Lots of energy from the crowd. Look, it's hard for me to tell that sometimes. It seemed like the crowd was kind of asleep for a while, but man, in the third quarter and then in the fourth, it became serious. This is a good team. I mean, they're not the best team in the country, but I don't know who really is, if we're being honest. If there's a tougher team than Georgia, it's probably Alabama, and that's it. And I don't even know what's going on with Alabama tonight. So this game was fast. I'm a big fan. If we could play this game like 11 o'clock in the morning, it'd be outstanding. I'd be even more for that than anything else. But I think for Georgia, hey, man, I don't think they punched their ticket for sure. They got their punching gloves. They got their gloves on, though. It's close. For Ole Miss, I hate to be this guy. I'm not sure it matters a lot. I mean, this is an Ole Miss team that they've got a lot in front of them. It's one loss. What's the big deal? And again, I say tonight, we won't know what's going on with everybody else until, I get home and I've got flank steak for tonight. We'll see how that goes. But, in the morning, sorry, y'all. Go ahead. Everybody wrapping up stuff. This is what it's like after the games. If you're noticing the thing on my face, I got some dermatology. work done. I'm going to mention this a couple times because I want y'all to keep up your health. I've got a colonoscopy on Tuesday. It's not a joke to me. It's something that y'all should be taking seriously. I've got more to say about all of this. Please visit the doctor. Please be healthy. Y'all matter to me. I don't know all of y'all, but take care of your health. I hate needles. That's my number one issue. I am petrified of them. Do not like them, but I will do it so that I'm staying healthy. So I've got that Tuesday. Make sure y'all are taking care of yourself. I'm gonna record the rest of this tomorrow. And it, it was a big night for Georgia. It was, I stayed up and watched Florida State lose on the last play of the game. I think they got that call maybe wrong on the field, but you couldn't reverse it. Georgia reversed everything on Ole Miss over the period of time that fourth quarter. I mean, Georgia scored, and not all in the fourth quarter. Georgia scored the last 17 points of the game. Ole Miss had their final three drives of the game. Really, they had it was 11 plays for 13 yards. I think I'm getting that right. Whatever it was, I've got it in Legge's thoughts. Make sure you're checking that out over the website. But it was total domination in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was 3 plays, 0 yards for Ole Miss. 3 plays, 1 yard, and then it was I think it was 5 plays for 12 yards, something like that. So you can do the math on that. I grew up in DeKalb County, so DeKalb County schools, shout out. But what I did want to say about this Georgia team is, again, they're not the best team in the country, I don't think. I'm not sure I know who the best team in the country is. The easy answer is Ohio State. But people the other day were talking about Miami being the best team in the country, really probably having not watched Miami. And Miami, they were itching for that loss, and they got it against Louisville. I think that Ohio State, to me, has played better than everyone else, and they also have the talent that's better than everyone else, okay? But you do have the ability to compare apples to apples. It's not the same thing, because now we're in October, and Ohio State's first game against Texas was in August, and this and that. And did you see Kentucky lost to Texas in overtime? I mean, I think that's Ohio State's best win, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, that you have not lost does not mean you are better than teams that have lost. How do I reconcile Alabama losing to 4-loss Florida State? I cannot. And people would be trashing Alabama right now had they lost to Georgia. They would be throwing dirt on them. We're in a different space and time now. I mean, one thing that Kirby talked about, and he's probably not the only one, but this is about getting better over the season, like the stretch of the year. I think it's pretty clear Georgia's offense is getting better or has gotten better. Now, you lose Colby Young. It looks like Colby Young's gone for a while. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Kirby said it was bad. He usually doesn't say stuff like that. There's some insects in here. And so losing him in the mid part of a season again, that's hard to deal with. The only caveat to that is you have Zachariah Branch now, who is making play after play after play after play. And this guy is the real deal. Look at some gnats. It's October. I don't know how we got gnats out and about. But I think that Zachariah Branch was targeted 9 times. 8 times. 8 targets, 8 catches, 71 yards, did not score a touchdown, but made him and Dylan Bell really, stepped up and played well. What we saw from Dylan Bell, that's what we should see from Dylan Bell. Like, there's no more stealing games. He's got to go do it all the time now, and he should. And there's no bigger, supporter of what that guy can do than me and in media. But it's time now. Like, if Colby Young's out, that is not easily replaced. Someone like Dylan, people say next man up. I don't know that Dylan was the next man up. He was probably out there already. But it's
It's time for him to have a 100-yard game. Did he have a 100-yard game yesterday? Total. He had 19 rushing, which he may have had a 70-yard game or a 60 total yard game. I mean, Dylan Bell is a serious weapon that Georgia needs to use. He can be, he can be a poor man's Hines Ward in terms of doing a lot of different things. He can do that. He is not he's not going to be is Hines an NFL Hall of Famer? If he's not, am I missing something there? Like, shouldn't he be an NFL Hall of Famer? With all he did with the Steelers and then having a Super Bowl MVP, I don't know. He might be, and I missed it. But how is he not? I just, this team has a real opportunity now, and you can't count wins before they happen. But you can look at this schedule and say, okay, they've had the hard part. Because I think they might have at this stage. I mean, the two significant road games are done. Texas may still be ranked when they get to Athens. That is not a great Texas team. That is a Texas team that has personnel that is good, but there's something going on with Texas, losing to the Gators, losing to Ohio State, something is, as a team, they are not functioning the right way. I mean, Kentucky should have beat them last night, and they didn't. And, and Duke should have beaten Tech, but you cannot, you say that, and then you watch that Duke play, and you're like, you can't make those mistakes, man. And that's what happened is, Wake Forest is kind of, that was kind of yanked away from Wake Forest by the officiating crew in the ACC when they lost to Georgia Tech. But the reality is that Georgia Tech is doing what they have to do. They have Tech should be a top 10 team right now. They don't have a great win. They don't have a loss. And I think their best win is Duke. It's either Duke or I think Clemson's 3-4 or 4-3. I do just I think Nick Saban's outstanding in terms of coaching and understanding. Sometimes, not sometimes, when he gets on his high horses about coaches getting fired, James Franklin deserved to be fired. It was time. And when Mike Norvell gets canned at Florida State, it will be time. When Dabo moves on, they won't fire him. But when Dabo moves on from Clemson or whatever end of that story happens, it will be time then too. And when Kirby leaves Georgia or whatever happens there, it will be time. It was probably time for Nick at Alabama, but he's the only guy lately that I can remember that's left on his own terms. We're not going to be able to say that about Dabo now. Everybody who's watching this, most of y'all know. I mean, my wife, their family has contributed to Clemson for decades. The grandfather played there and all this stuff. And that's not at all what it was 3 years ago. Like what happens at places, and I'm not necessarily talking about Clemson right now, but this is the flow of things, is that people like me, Matt, people like Chad Simmons, shout out, we see things building in the years leading up to success or failure, collapse. And for Clemson particularly, it was easy to see because the recruiting, it's just not the same and at all. They do not have an elite quarterback. And the quarterback they have, who is probably a 4th round NFL draft pick, 5th, 6th, something like that, he is an NFL draft pick. He didn't play Saturday night. So you can see these things coming. When I asked in 23 out loud in Legge's thoughts after one of the early season games for Georgia, is this the new normal for Georgia, like really having to struggle to win games in ways that they haven't in the past? You could see it. And you could also see them building towards those national championships. Those recruiting classes with Zamir and Justin and James Cook, etc. When you looked at that with Trayvon Walker and you stacked that with, well, we thought not Brock Bowers, but Darnell. It turned out it was Brock that was the bigger deal. And Keeley and, Nakobe Dean. You could see Georgia building towards something. And you can see at Clemson that it's not going the right way. And it has not for some time. And that's what's going to happen perhaps at South Carolina. It's happened at Kentucky. You could see that at Florida. You can, you can see why Mississippi has done well, because the attention to detail that is the accumulation of players now, whether it's through recruiting or the portal, is the reason you win or lose. Dabo Swinney has, his soul has not left his body. He is literally the same person that hoisted a trophy for the national championship, I don't know, 8 years ago, whatever it will be. It won't be this season. They could have a losing season there. Penn State could have a losing season. Texas will not. Florida State could have a losing season. You say, what's going to happen with Mike Norvell? It could be time with him. It could be. I don't know that it is, but losing that game last night to Stanford, no. And Georgia, you never. I will tell y'all when I get that feeling about Georgia. What I get the feeling of Georgia right now is they will probably not win the national championship. I don't know who will, but it's probably not anyone, meaning, say, 50% or above. I don't think there's a great team in college football. I'm certain of that, actually. And Georgia's not one of those teams, or is not that team. Those teams don't exist right now. I do think you have a group of teams that are dangerous. Indiana, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Ole Miss, maybe Tennessee, maybe. I think Texas, I don't know. The Big Ten is not good. So you've got Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, and that's what you've got. You don't have anything else. I think I think Notre Dame and Georgia got some things in common in that they now both have played pretty difficult beginnings of seasons. And now you look at Notre Dame, and there's just not a lot left for Notre Dame to lose. It was going to have to be against, USC. I also think that you've got teams like Louisville that Georgia could run into in a home game in Athens, and they could lose that game. And I don't think Louisville can beat Ohio State necessarily, but Louisville, Ole Miss, that's a game Ole Miss should win, but it's a game Louisville can win. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. There's, I don't know if Cincinnati won yesterday, but the Big 12 seems like a whole big mess. Texas Tech lost. Ole Miss lost. Miami lost. Am I forgetting someone else in the top 10 that lost? So it's sort of a messy week in the top 10. It was. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I don't know who it was. But when you're Georgia and you're getting the job done sort of consistently, we will revisit some of these things in the past, but basically Georgia's played, I would say, 3 big games. I would count Auburn, but they're not good. I would say Georgia's played 3 big games, and they won 2 of the 3. They were not, there's nothing on set. When I was watching the game when I was watching the game on the field, it really felt like Ole Miss just wasn't better, but they were a lot better for a lot of that game. Now, part of that was me thinking they just simply cannot stop them. And it's not that they're not stopping them. They're not even forcing field goals. But as a person, you play so long in sports and basketball and tennis, you play a lot of games and matches. And playing great just never continues a whole time. That does not happen. At some stage, you got to punt. Well, with Ole Miss, they had to punt at the wrong time, at the exact wrong time. And, Yeah, I was in there for Lane at the post game for Lane for a little bit, and he was pretty. I don't know about upset, but like he was sad. Like he felt like they really had an opportunity, and they did, but it just didn't happen. And I don't know how you get things cleaned up if you're Georgia on defense, but right now that defense is really not good. I'm not going to call it bad, but that defense is really not good against these big explosive teams. Now, they're big explosive teams. I mean, against Alabama, Tennessee gave away, it was a 14-point swing in that game. Tennessee gave away points to Alabama. They just didn't play well in Tuscaloosa. But Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama's not explosive like that. They're offensively aren't that way. They're far more like Georgia. And Georgia contained Alabama. They did not contain Ole Miss. They did not contain Tennessee. Would Georgia beat Tennessee if they played them again? In Athens, they would probably beat them. If they had to go up in Knoxville and they did not control Tennessee on third down, they would lose. And, Ohio State I don't think is explosive like they've been in the past. But they're good. And sometimes this is about matchups. Like Texas is not explosive. They're going to have a hard time scoring on this Georgia defense. Ole Miss, they're explosive. They're not going to have a hard time scoring on this Georgia defense. That's the problem. It is matchups. And, you've got to get in a position where you can take advantage of what you've got. And Georgia's got a lot. But those defensive guys, I mean, they got to play better. One thing that Kirby was talking about was playing in man. And, playing man is hard. Okay? It just is. And these are not elite DBs that Georgia's doing, but Georgia's playing. But, like, I mean, part of me is like, I don't really give a shit about the pass interferences. I mean, if you're going to play man, you're going to get called for stuff because, right now what's happening is you just play man. It's hard enough as it is, and you don't have a pass rush to speak of. Like Ole Miss did not have 90 yards rushing. This is yet another. So it's the duality here of both. This defense can be shut down. They have moments where they absolutely will stone you. But it is tricky if you're going to play a particular style, if you're going to play man, and you're going to get beat sometimes. You have to also know that because you're playing man, you can totally stop people, period. But there was no balance on that Saturday. I'm just saying, it's hard to play man. If you don't have pressure, it is hard to play man. Now, zone, you just come up and tackle people. There were times when Chambliss was not accurate. I thought it was really good, but when he missed, he seemed to really miss. Everett almost had the game-winning interception, but yet another game-winning interception for him. But that didn't happen, and I thought Georgia would make him pay. That Ole Miss would make Georgia pay, but they didn't. When that big defensive line from Langston Hughes came up and knocked the ball down, won him the game. And I was a person that asked Kirby, did you want to go for it on fourth down? Because I would have gone for it. I would have gone for it. I think going for it would have been a completely correct, maybe ultra macho, maybe too masculine a play. But I could have understood it in that moment because the momentum, you had it and all this. Ole Miss still would have had to go down and score a touchdown. But at the end of the day, you have a really, really good kicker. I mean, this guy is a weapon. And you roll Peyton Woodring out there. He strokes it through. He's such a good kicker, man. And, he's going to miss kicks. He missed one against Auburn last week, barely. But he's going to miss kicks, so he's a kicker. That's going to happen. But I think going there and making Ole Miss go 75 yards, making them get a 2-point conversion, I mean, you could do it, but they didn't have timeouts, and they didn't have this, and they didn't have that. And it wasn't about the timeouts necessarily. before you go through midfield. It was about straight up stopping them, and they didn't let them get to midfield. Because once Ole Miss got to midfield and there was I think there's a minute and 20 to go, it might have been hard to stop them. But the problem in those situations, if you're the offense, is you make one mistake and the game is over. Any other time of the game, it doesn't matter. But you make one mistake and the game is over. And that's they didn't make a mistake. He almost did with that ball behind the receiver where Everett almost picked it off, but they didn't. And look, I think Georgia's got a lot to look forward to. These last two games, they were as critical as Tennessee and Alabama because of where they were on the schedule and what had happened before. They needed to grab 2 wins. They are not a shoe-in to go to the playoffs, but they're getting the shoelaces ready. Ohio State the same way. Maybe Georgia Tech. We'll see. They don't have a great win is the problem for Georgia Tech, so they might have to win their league. And then, Alabama looks like it to me. Alabama's, Georgia's got Tech and a road trip to state, the Gators, and, playing in Atlanta against the Jackets. Alabama's still got to go to Auburn. I don't think they'll lose that game. They got to go to Auburn. They got to play LSU, and I think they have one more game that's a little bit tricky. So there are some spots out there. I think Missouri with their win over Auburn in overtime. You had an overtime game there. If you're Disney, you've got to be super happy with the results that you're getting. Well, the value you're getting from this contract, because they are underpaying. They are getting huge value, and Greg Sankey and company need to extract. If the market value is what the Big Ten is at, which I do not think it is. I think the Big Ten is stealing money from Fox, NBC, and CBS. They are stealing money from them. But if that's the value, that's where the SEC should be matching that, because they're blowing the Big Ten out of the water in terms of people watching it. Well, why are they blowing them out of the water? Because you have captivating games like Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, Alabama. You have captivating games like LSU and Vanderbilt, and characters. You have these. Diego Pavia is a television character. He just happens to play football at Vanderbilt. Gunnar Stockton is a television character. He just happens to play football at Georgia. He's the quarterback at Georgia. And that's a crude way of putting it, but that's what you're getting right now. The entertainment value of the turn of the century was Survivor and stuff like that. This is reality television every Saturday with, tribal council. That's during the week on the message boards at Dawg Post. That's what you're getting with all of this. And if you're Disney, you've got to be over the moon that you can stack these games. They could have gone Missouri-Auburn at the beginning of it. They could have gone, there was game after exciting game after exciting game. I think the Gators and State came down to the last play of the game. I think the only game that I can recall that was not amazing was Tennessee, Alabama. And you just watched that for the cigars. Texas, Kentucky, overtime. Auburn, Mizzou, overtime. Vanderbilt, Georgia, Alabama, big wins, 2 huge brands there. And LSU's not small, nothing either. And then you think about the Texas A&M and Arkansas game. Like, the games on the SEC network are outstanding. It's as good an entertainment value as you can possibly get. And if you're Greg Sankey and the other people that I actually know in the office in the SEC, you've got to be over the moon, because it's just delivering consistently. For Georgia, State is not. You get to play on the road at noon, thank God. But the Texas game is starting to look like it's going to be a night game. I thought it was going to be afternoon, but there's just not much else out there. You have 2 of the biggest 8 brands in football. If they can put Georgia on in prime time, they're going to do it. And if it makes sense, and it made sense to put Tennessee, Alabama at night. But I think Georgia, I know I've been driving here for a while, but thank you for sticking with me. I think, in my view, Georgia's got a lot to look forward to. They do need to handle business, I would say, quickly against Florida. I never thought I'd say that sentence. But, they should win that game. They will probably be a 10, 11-point favorite, something like that. If Georgia wins, I would expect that Billy is let go, or the announcement will be made that Sunday. And then you go to state. This is a 3-week period where Georgia really needs to get healthy. I mean, Gunner definitely was banged up. Kirby said he didn't practice Monday or Tuesday. He was not on the availability report. Now, I understand why he was not, but if they thought he couldn't play, shouldn't he be probable? But, he practiced Wednesday, which is probably why they might not have thought he was able to go Monday or Tuesday, or they were concerned. But this team has a real opportunity. I think you're positioning yourself now where if you eat a loss to Tech or Florida or State or Texas, it's not the end of the world at all now, particularly if you lose in conference, because it means you probably will not play for the SEC championship. I think, I think the perfect world scenario here is for Texas A&M to go undefeated and play Alabama in the SEC championship game. Georgia does not play in it because they lost one game, and they get to kind of build up towards the playoff. That would be the opportunity to play Alabama again, would be an outstanding one for Georgia, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it would be good for them to slide in there as the 5 seed or something like that, and hold on to that one game. Because if you cannot play, the absolute best case scenario is being the 4 seed and not playing in the SEC championship game. That would be ideal, but that would put you in Ohio State quadrant. But you got to beat really good teams to win the national championship at the end of the day. I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're getting a lot of rain in East Georgia, but Georgia's definitely passed the test in the beginning of this season. They've not had a terminal loss. They look like they know how to score whenever they want on offense, particularly when they need to, and the defense knows how to shut it down. The Georgia fan base and maybe the coaching staff knows, though, that there's another gear here that we've not yet seen from this team, and they're going to have to show it at some point this season. Please take it easy. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.